So I recently added this interaction on my website where if you move the mouse around, it kind of creates this parallax effect on the background. So I thought I'd share my process and how I would achieve this in Pinegrow. So if you're new around here, I make content all on front-end development and websites, in particular no-code tools like Webflow and Pinegrow. So if that sounds of interest to you, then don't hesitate to subscribe. So taking a quick look at our layout here before we get going, we have our picture element, which if you watched last week's episode, we go into the various different formats and how we can choose those using the picture element. And that contains our kind of space background image. And then over the top of that, I have another image element, which is just linking to an SVG of our grid, basically. So we have those two layers that we get to play with. So the first thing we're going to do is actually, because we're going to be moving this image up and down, I don't want to see the bottom of this image kind of like reveal itself. So the first thing we need to do is actually scale up this image. So if I come here, select my image and go to the transform area, change the scale property and add it about 1.1 should be fine for this, but your scaling might vary on your project, but in my instance scaling 1.1 is absolutely fine. So then we're going to click on the wrapping element that's going to receive the mouse events, and then at the top here clicking on the interactions tab will they'll enable us to add interactions. We can add a series of interactions here, and we'll go through them in another episode, but in this particular one I want to click on interaction. So in this example we're going to be actually adding two interactions to our element. So the first one's going to be the x-axis, and then the second one is going to be the y-axis. So just for simplicity and for ease of sort of recognizing and editing, I'm going to name this first one X position, but it really doesn't matter what you name it, it's just for your convenience here. Next is the trigger, and we're going to go to mouse only, and we're going to go mouse move on that wrapping hero element. And then lastly we're going to hit the action. Now if I hit Animate X position, what this is going to do is it's going to play an animation from depending on the X position of my mouse. So at the far left of the screen here it's going to be at the beginning of the animation, and as I move it to the right hand side of the screen it's going to play to the end of the animation. So we're going to hit edit animation here. I can then select my target, which is going to be my image, and then once I create a timeline here, add the property, I'm going to transform my X, and we're not going to move it by too much. We're going to just do 10 viewport width, not too much. And so when I hit the JavaScript button here, you'll see that when I'm at the beginning or the left hand side of the screen, my play head is at the beginning, and as I move across the page here you'll see that the image will animate. So I'm looking on the left hand side there, you can see that my image is now moving too much, so I think that 1.1 is probably a little bit too subtle, but for now we've got the interaction working, which is great. Let's bump that up to something like 1.5. So let's now handle the Y position. So heading back to our element that's going to be receiving the interaction, we can hit add interaction, and now we're going to do Y position. So same again, the trigger is going to be mouse only and mouse move, and then the action is going to be animate the Y position. And this is going to be exactly the same as the Animate X position, in that at the top of the page it will be the beginning of the animation, and then the bottom of the page will be the end of the animation. So if I hit edit animation here, target my image, and then same principle as before, 10 vertical height, you can now see that with my JavaScript turned on we're getting that animation. I actually think we're probably a bit too extreme there, so what I'm going to do is actually make this 5 as opposed to 10, and the same again here, so it's a bit more subtle. Yeah, that's a bit better for me. So the issue is that when I preview this in the browser, the image actually just follows my mouse, which doesn't really give the kind of sense that I'm trying to go for. I want the user to feel like they're looking in that direction. So we need to reverse the movement of the image. So heading back into Pinegrow, turning those off, all I need to do here is put a minus in front of our animation, and the same again for the vertical horizontal animation here. So if I hit save, preview in the browser, and now you see the image moves away from my mouse, which gives the user the impression that they're able to look a bit further in the direction that their mouse is in. So there we go, that was a quick tutorial on the interaction and the mouse move events. If you'd like me to go over anything that I've gone here, if something's not explained too clearly, then please do leave a comment below. And if you want to learn more about Pinegrow's interactions feature, then do let me know, and I can do my best to offer more of that content. So that'll do it for today, so remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon.